Well, it may be a bank holiday Monday, but we are here. We're doing the real graft on this Monday evening as we look back on the Sporting Press online edition Irish Oaks. Welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. I'm joined as always by the exiled Dub, who's actually exiled from Cork at present. He tells us that he's in a hotel room down in Killarney. How bad? And also Frank Kiernan. Frank is a man, of course, who knows his onions, representing the Sporting Press this morning. Frank, you're very welcome indeed.
Thank you very much, Ian. My first one for me this year, so I'm in on the bank holiday Monday. I got shorts thrown, I think, out of the weeks a bit, but that's how it goes.
This gives you an hour away from the kids, you know that?
He's already gone. So it's just an hour you wanted to yourself when he was already gone.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll keep it short. It's been a wonderful Oaks thus far, Frank. Things didn't change on Saturday night. Some very interesting results. A couple of big names got knocked out, but we are left with 12 top-class ladies.
Yeah, some great clocks. It's just really doing the clocks consistently as well. It hasn't really been a bad clock. You can get a quick look at them over the weekend, but as you say, there's definitely some class X. Probably a little disappointing to see Drippy's Request and Marie's Wedding in Kuwait, but it's always going to be the case in a competition of this calibre. Something you just get a bit of a bad start, you don't get away. You know you're in trouble against these class, and yeah, definitely plenty to look forward to this weekend.
Tommy, Frank's after putting it there in a nutshell. You miss a beat. You miss even just a half a beat, and you're out of this Oaks. It's that competitive.
Yeah, it's like we're repeating ourselves a bit because there's so little between them on the clocks every week. Literally, you've got to come with your A game every single week, and it makes it really difficult. I mean, if you can't really afford, if you're doing 28.50, which is not that long ago, that was a really good time. If you're doing 28.50 now, you're really in a lot of trouble. That's how good the standard is, and like it's not 2, 3, 4 bitches. It's a lot of them. It's a whole host of them that can do it. Like.
Yeah. The slowest qualifier the other night was 28.69. That was Dark Ava, and that was in a race where, you know, the front two got away on them, and there was a bit of traffic in behind. She ran on strongly to qualify in third. That sums it up. Let's look at the opening heat, because it was won in tremendous fashion. Scooby Duchess had been installed as the anti-post favourite prior to last weekend's action. She remains actually the anti-post favourite, which I want to mention. She was a 5-4 chance in the contest, but Ballymacwhisper, despite being fifth into the corner of 5 runners, of course, Highview Moment was an on-runner from trap 6. She took off into that third bend. Tommy went third on the third bend and came between the two rivals off the last bend, swung wide, as we suggest she always does, right back out to the trap 7 up the home straight, but got there to win by a half length. She is an immensely powerful lady.
She's one of the ones that makes it enjoyable to watch. You know, everybody loves her out and gone, and kind of particularly if you own them or if you're back to me, you want them out and gone. But like the likes of Ballymacwhisper and Rahamofo, Rahamofo has a bit more early pace, and Druby's lost to a lesser extent. Like just the finish and kick they have is phenomenal. I think you come away from that heat thinking if you're on Scooby Duchess, you're still very happy. You're still very happy the way things are just ticking along nicely. Doesn't matter they get picked up by, like, if you're doing, what does she do, 28, 26, like you're going to be in the first 3 as tight as it is at the top of the between the clocks of all the bitches in the competition. If you do 28, 26 from the front, you're going to be qualifying. You're going to be safely through, and you hope that that's what will happen next week. So if you're on Scooby Duchess, you've lost nothing apart from one race. Ballymacwhisper, though, is just a joy to watch. I mean, she just struck such a vein of form for the last maybe 5 or 6 weeks, and it's just. I actually, when I was watching the heat, I didn't think she could get up from where she was. I mean, she even going up to the bend, she wasn't entirely clever in the sense that she stuck herself kind of behind a couple of bitches where instead of maybe sidestepping or getting herself into a nice bit of clear ground, she didn't actually do that. She just had phenomenal pace, and like you said, that little bit drifting off the last bend, that's going to happen every single night. It probably costs her a length doing that.
Yeah,
tell you how fast she is.
Good of it. Obviously she does 28-23, Frank, coming from where she did. It's just a testament to her power and her engine.
Yeah, it's just superb pace coming home. And I think a little bit, so I suppose the negative, she's one of the 2 bitches I backed at the start, Burgess Josie Yellow, and she bowed out early enough, but you're always going to have that sweat. Like, no doubt she gets a clear passage, she's a chance, and she's shown she can pick up 20 bitches coming home, but you're not going to be always guaranteed that. Like, but as Tommy says, it's an absolute joy to watch, because those type of greyhounds, as he says, you like to be out in front, you have a chance, you're away from trouble, but there's something with watching one just coming through late on and powering through that. Like College Causeway, was that sort of style of running, doing it from the third bend onwards. And she keeps getting clear passage. Every chance you can pick up the ones in front, you know you can, but you always just think there was maybe one night that you're not going to get that little run through. It only takes one to step in front of you, the third bender, can't be a half a length at the second corner, and that's what stops her from getting up in the down straights. But yeah, listen, she enjoyed the watch, and she's going to be something else, maybe over 550 and further over time.
Yeah, certainly there's no problem in going further. You'd imagine she's in trap 1 the next night, but it doesn't really matter where she is. Like, she's always going to be in behind them, I suppose, and then picking her line sort of into that third bend and home. And my big question mark would be the night that she turns for home and there's 2 or 3 bitches there in front of her, and she, like, whatever about switching wide, she has to switch even doubly wide. Like, she has to get out there quicker than normal. It would be very interesting. She seems to come around that last bend, sort of drifting like a drifting car you'd see in the films. Just the speed that she's emerging off that last bend. Second spot was Scooby Duchess. Tommy, you can see why she's still very much to the fore on the outright betting. She's coming forward each and every night, 28.38, 28.28, 28.26 the other night, but that was off at 2.15 compared to a 2.09 at 2.11. So it is natural improvement. She's probably I don't know her exact weeks, but I assume she's 13, 14 weeks at present. So you'd imagine she's going to improve further again. She has a reasonable draw in the semi-final. She's in 4 in the second heat, but she's certainly going to lead up Dark Ava on her inside. There's every chance she's going around to go around front, is what I'm saying. So she's still a big player, Tommy.
She's definitely a big player still, but the funny thing is, if you look at the other night, herself and Ballymacart went to the bend effectively together. If you swap the traps, they just go around differently. Ballymacart goes around in front. Now Ballymacart is on her inner next week, so the will demand probably she gets maybe another half, 3/4 of a length at the start, or to the first bend at least. You want to find a length maybe to get around in front, because Ballymacart is going to be in the way. We talked about her as well last week, while smashing bitches, how well she held her form, and like a lot of Liams do. But I still think I'm not on Scooby Duchess, but if I was, and I know a lot of people were on it early and thinking that she was the bitch that was going to do, as you pointed out after the first round, she was going to develop through the competition. I think it's just been borne out. That's what she's doing. Like, you can't expect everything to be in your favor every week. If you're in a 5-run competition or 6-run or whatever they are, these bigger competitions, you're going to get a bad draw along the way. You might going to miss the kicks someday. You're going to have to survive something along the way. Trap 4 is a little bit tricky next weekend. I know you might say she'll lead Dark Ava. It's quite tricky. I don't know if we're going to go into detail on the actual heats later on, but it is, because you got Ballymacart and you got Drewby's next one, both on her inner, which will make it very interesting. You've got Fahy Divine on the outside, who showed tremendous early pace the other night. So there's just a chance that if she got forced to take a little bit of different ground, maybe not going inside at the first bend, that she could be in a little bit of trouble. But I think she'd be okay. I think she's too good. And I think she is, like you said, she's a bit sharper than the 2:15 sections she did the other night. What I would say about Ballymacrispa, one thing. If you watch her going into the last bend, the last day, there's 2 bitches in front of her. It doesn't look like there's much of a gap, but she doesn't care. She's going through it anyway. Yeah. if you actually watch it, and even though she drifts off early, she drifts a second time. And and you could understand why there might be a steward's inquiry. We talked about in the past, there might be a steward's inquiry, whatever. You can understand it, because for no reason she steps a little bit further right, but she's actually gone past the bitch at this stage. It's just her nature. But she just
has her mind. She there's obviously a line there that she just wants to take it, and she's going to just get it, whatever happens.
That's exactly it. She wants whatever she sees about this line. That's the one that's the most natural to her, on her stride or whatever way she just comes off the last bend. But I just love the fact you said if there were 3 bitches in front of her, she might have step wide. She'll just see one gap and just go for it. Watch the last bend again. If you're listening to this evening, Monday evening, just watch the last bend again and see what she does.
Yeah, it was a staggered switch wide. Frank, Scooby Duchess is obviously, in great nick. Ballymacart is producing, still producing the goods. Okay, she's only January 19, but she does seem to be around forever. Like, she is 3.5 years of age. Is there anything to add about those 2 ladies, or will we move on?
Yeah, you say Scooby definitely doing everything. She's pinging out in front, and lately raced since winning the Puppy Oaks last year. You say not long coming out of her seasonal break, you expect a little bit of improvement. She's doing 28-20s the last 2 or 3 weeks, and she arguably isn't just fully at the peak of her well-being, and can expect probably further improvement. She could probably dip under the 28 if she get out in front, especially with a couple of weeks under her belt. Tommy says difficult enough draw there on Saturday night in the semi-final. There seems to be plenty of early pace either side of her, and I'd say maybe 5 of those 6 are capable of going to the corner. Thereabouts, so she'll have to be on her toes, but she has a little bit of class. You'd imagine it should should serve her well. And Ballymac Art, got to the final 2 years back and still seems to be serving them well. Battling, doesn't know when she speaks, it sort of stays in the hunt. And I'm surprised you saw her back in the second final, just the way she just keeps sort of plugging on. And also, it's just hard to keep out of the sort of a lady, hard to keep out of the frame. And that's the same for all those Dowling runners. They're always thereabouts.
Yeah, the one thing with the Dowling runners is they've taken on dogs, taken on bitches, they've taken on all comers. So they are that bit hardened. Like I know Ballymac Whisper, she's only really come to my attention in recent times, but she has she's 18 starts. Like, where did they come from? I definitely only saw a few of them, I'm sure. But anyway, here she is, and she's in an Oaks semi-final and in Trap 1 with every chance of making the final. Moving on to the second heat, and this was the strangest heat of the lot, Tommy, of course. Clara Odessa. Just wanted to mention there, we've been talking about Scooby Duchess and her seasonal dates. I believe Clara Odessa was only coming out of season 2. You could see that she was improving all the way. Unfortunately, she went out the other evening, but she played a big part in this contest because she shot, and I mean absolutely rocket from a bullet from a gun sort of shot from Trap 5 straight in, got to the fence. I don't know how she got to the fence when you consider the ladies that are inside her. Mary's Wedding went up well in second spot, but clipped the heels of Clara Odessa, checked off wide. Clara Odessa got held up, and all of a sudden Truby's Gloss, having started last, improved her position into the corner, drove the bend, and finds herself 3 clear into the humps or into the back straight. Game over, ball burst, and then Tullivan Vita and Ballymac Miranda chased her home. But it was a race where the complexion completely changed on the corner.
Yeah, and there's a few things about it. I think Marie's Wedding ran a cracker after it, tried her best, and she got held. She got pushed as far wide down the back as you could, out onto the hair rail nearly at points as she was trying to make progress. So there was nowhere for her to actually get by the ones that might have put her into position to maybe scrape through. She lost nothing in defeat. It's a bit unfortunate for when you have a bitch of that standard and you get knocked out of the quarterfinals of the Oaks, but she's still one to follow going forward. Ruby's Gloss is a smashing bitch, and what I liked about her performance was that it's almost like she just showed a bit of acceleration at a really, really crucial point. Now, regardless of what happened up front, the one bitch, was it Ballymac Miranda, was it? The way she got past her at the bend and avoided getting serious trouble, because she could have where she was trying to get up and across, and she was trying to cut in as well. And then the trouble in front as the two as Marie's Wedding tried to switch wide or was forced to check wide by Clara Odessa, and the two of them kind of got it, obviously lost all chance. Ruby's Gloss just shot through. It's sometimes like she could easily have skirted going out herself if that hadn't happened with the front two. She could easily have, because she wouldn't have had that gap to drive into, and then all of a sudden she would have been on Ballymac Miranda would have been maybe a bit further up on her inside and would have forced her to get a bit of a bump or whatever. So look, maybe that's the little bit of luck that Ruby's Gloss needed, and maybe she can go a long way now, or she will go a long way. I think look, as you're a big fan of her, we talked about her for quite some time. Yeah, she like Mert's bitches are running well, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are. They're side by side next night. But she happens to find herself in a heat where there's not much early speed the next night. So if she does find her trapping boots, you can see her going through basically on the back of either a victory or going through comfortably. Frank Droopy's Gloss, like, she is a juvenile derby champion. We know she has the pace to challenge the boys. On this occasion, she had to show track craft as well as determination. Obviously you're going to need her to be starting a lot better than she did the other night. Like, she'd have to put in a 2:23 in the quarterfinals, and the other night she does it says 2:14. I struggle to believe it was a 2:14. That's surely much slower than 2:14.
You can imagine. So when she turned fourth, like sometimes she's more sectionals do throw you a little bit off, but she's more than capable of ping breaks. She's done it before, that 28.06 last year. When she's done a 2:10 section, has to put it definitely in the mix. And competition needed, like, she grew through the juvenile derby as well. So Tommy said a little bit fortunate, maybe made a little bit of her own luck last weekend, but she's that caliber of a lady now that she's got that. That's probably maybe her sticky moment. Tommy referred to a few moments ago that you always invariably meet one of those at some point along the way. That might have been her. She's got away with it, and now it could be clear pass. Like she says, she's got decent enough draw next week, plenty of early pace. She's the worst drawn of the 4 inside seeds, but she's probably one that's just growing into it now as well, and definitely capable of shifting to the corner a lot sharper than you said last week or even in the quarterfinals, and definitely has to become a player now. She's proven competition, but she won the juvenile derby last year, and she's another one that's going to be thereabouts.
In second spot was Tullivan Vita, who definitely will prefer a bit further over in time. She was very well housed the other night. She made most of the draw. She ran well. And Ballymacmiranda, Tommy, we spoke of last week. She ran well last week. She ran okay the other night. She's now in an Oaks quarterfinal or an Oaks semi-final. Things get a little bit hotter.
Yeah, look, she benefited from being drawn where she was, because even when Droopy's Glass went by her at the first bend, in another situation, or if there was something else inside her, she's in a whole lot of trouble. Obviously, the 3 and 5, the bitches going out. She did well to hold some sort of position. I don't say she was actually went back to share last place at one stage, and she showed a nice bit of determination, but there was a little bit of luck involved. But then if you go, the beauty of it is, Ian, if you look at her run last week, you see how good she is. The other day was her riding a little bit of luck, so maybe she can carry that luck for another week.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, Frank, we'll give you first mention on Heat 3. Droopy's Request, the bit you mentioned earlier on the programme. She was well housed on the fence, but it just didn't happen for herself or Ballymacmiranda, the Puppy Oaks champion. They dominated the betting market, but they just got, well, firstly, they sort of both missed the kick, and then they got involved. They were sort of looking for the same line, the same ground, something Declan O'Donoghue mentioned could possibly happen last weekend. And yep, Droopy's Request and Ballymacmiranda, it wasn't even a case of they couldn't get involved. They never looked like getting involved. They were just too far back. In contrast, Fahy Devine absolutely rocketed to the bend. Florentis turned second, and once doing so, you knew she was going to stay on very, very strongly. And with Fahy Devine staying very wide, it was left to Florentis to come through and land the spoils. A good winner, Florentis. She's probably, of the 4 heat winners, she's certainly the biggest price one to win the Oaks. She will need a little bit of luck, but it was a fine display all the same.
Yeah, done well, a little bit of compensation for Owen, I suppose, after Susie Sapphire. But he still has one in the hunt, done it well, finished strongly, came off a good pace from Fahy Devine. Fahy Devine's probably not one we would have thought would have kept one as long as she did. Plenty of miles and clocks. But let's just start Paddy McCormick well over and over in Mullingar and stuff, and it's taken to well, plenty of early pace. She's going to wing out again, but set a nice line for Florentis last week, and she just got a little bit more coming home. Decent clock, 28.31 as well. And, I'm not saying it might be hard to regain the Oaks Crown with her, but again, she's definitely going to give him a little bit of an interest going forward. Maybe not just probably in the same calibre as Susie Sapphire, but finished strongly last week. It's a decent clock, 28.31, 28.38 week before. That's just clocking consistent, 28.40. There, but just 1-2 heats, and again, probably has every chance of going a little bit further again. Looks well enough. They're on middle seat, they're on top 5 in the next time out. She's going to have Fahy Devine to lead again, and Scooby on her inside. Going to plenty of early pace, and that one took his next one there as well. But yeah, every chance. She keeps running the way she is, clocking the way she is. There's no reason the way she couldn't advance either.
Yeah, she's a model of consistency, Tommy. You know exactly what she's going to do. She generally traps out. She probably gets done for a little bit of tactical speed sort of the middle part of the race, and then stays on like a train every night. And you look at her clocks, like she's just like, you could set your watch by her. She's steadily improved, but like 28.31 the other night was a career best display, but no surprise to see her better at it again.
Yeah, look at it. It was a good run, and she will need to better it again as well. But it was a good run, but the whole heat was a bit funny in the sense that where we expected that there would be early pace on the flanks, the 1 and 2 both missed it, and when Droopy's Request just edged right, the same time Dark Ava edged in, Ballymacmiranda had missed it well, you know what I mean, and had left herself in a vulnerable position and got that bit of trouble. So they nearly found out nearly the opposite way. You'd think it was nearly 6-5-4-3-2-1 out of the traps in that way. And then so the race became just a dead match between Fahy Devine, who went off and showed lovely early pace, and Florentis. Florentis is an interesting one. She's a sister from a repeat mating to last year's Laurel's winner. Yeah, and also actually interesting, even though it's gone a little bit off on a tangent. Her little brother, Galloping Sydney, is doing showing big early pace below in Cork. He's won 4 of his 6 races in Cork. He's won 5 out of 6. I think his 2 of his races were in Clonmel. He looks like the fact of keeping him to Cork is probably makes a lot of sense, because he looks an ideal Laurel's dog down the line, doing sort of 3:31 sections, doing serious stuff in both tracks that he's been to. So obviously they were happy with the first Droopy Sydneys. They were from a very early stage, because they went back again, and they're getting good reward, because Florentis is a good bitch. Now she does need, as I said, to improve a bit. It's still going to take a little bit more, probably 3 to 4 lengths. I would say, would that be harsh?
No, it probably isn't. She probably does need to be able to do closer to a 28.10. Owen McKenna actually bred the bitch as well. He has Mag's image, but going back to Droopy Sydney, Tommy, I don't think it's quite inspired.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
To be honest, like Frank might have even come up with that idea.
Yeah. In fair, it's actually Graham Holland has the Creeds that own. Like Graham Holland has the dog in Cork, actually, the Galloping Sydney dog. So obviously, Owen bred a Mag's image. She's a smashing bitch. She looks a great brew bitch already. I think she's only had the 2 litters, has she? I think she's only.
Mag's image?
Yeah.
No. There's an older litter as well, I think.
Is there? Okay.
I could be wrong, yeah. I could be wrong. God, actually, I'm wrong. Fatty Devine on the outside, running so well for the Iron Man from old Paddy McCormick. I'll be slagging him if I see him. It's great to see Offaly involved in Dublin, into the summer. Hasn't been happening in recent times. And back in third spot, Dark Ava. I keep saying it. She's probably a bitch without a distance. Maybe she wants probably further again, and maybe even further than 600 yards, because the long run to corner catches her out. But she is a very fast lady. You just look at her clocks to know that. But again, the tactical speed isn't there for her to win an Oaks. But at the same time, she's running very well for them. And Mark Robinson, he did win a derby with a big price runner a few years back in Ballyan Sim, Frank.
Yeah, he actually started Dark Ava, and when Ballyan Sim won his derby, he pinged out. He went to Traps, big price that night, and there's plenty of different got the right draw. They'll probably be dreaming of the same thing here, get her to the final, and then we'll see what happens. But she's going to have a work cut out to do it. Steve's just had a little bit of a mountain to climb, but she definitely comes home with a rattle. Arguably, she probably does want a little bit further, maybe 600 yards more to her liking. But again, listen, we all know that anything can happen in front. If you're coming home like that, you have a chance if there's any sort of scrimmage in front or it doesn't go your way. But arguably in that heat, probably you'd think she's going to maybe just find it a little bit hard to weave through traffic. Maybe 2 or 3 in front, or at least maybe 4. They might not just be so easy past 1 or 2. They might be 10 up. You wouldn't imagine Scooby, Barry McHardy, Droopy's next one will. So it might just be the end of the road for her next week. But listen, when you have a man who's trained a derby winner in your corner, you still have to give her plenty of respect.
Oh yeah, definitely, no question about it. She certainly has an engine. It's just that sort of that early speed is the issue with Dark Ava. We'll move on to the final heat. Here, Droopy's next one for Johnny Linehan, your part of the world, Tommy. Johnny Linehan has he's a bit of a record in the Oaks over the years. It hasn't been a bad competition for him. Droopy's next one, you sort of suggested over the last 2 weeks that she was probably too short for her various assignments. I suggested she probably want a little bit further. Right on cue, bang, 28.07 from the front, never looked in danger.
I wouldn't say she never was in danger because she had Rahamofo kind of chasing around the opening bends, and we know what Rahamofo can do late. But it was a terrific performance because of the fact that Rahamofo was so close and got a run behind her. I think she extended it to probably about 4 lengths, maybe a tiny bit more. Going down I said 5 lengths
maybe, halfway.
5 maybe, 5, yeah, maybe 5 lengths, and then Rahamofo stayed on again. But the beauty was that she wasn't stopping in front. She really wasn't. Now, obviously, that's obvious when you see a 28.07. Like Rahamofo was putting into the deficit, maybe in the straight, but you'd expect that every night. We've talked about her sections and how fast she is from halfway. So you talked about tactical speed with one of the bitches in the previous heat. I think that's where Rahamofo might just get caught out. Like she can break, and she gets caught. She gets caught from maybe the winning line the first time into about halfway, and then she just shows.
Yeah, I was going to say she only really starts to crank it up at around halfway.
About halfway, yeah, but she can break, like she can break, which I don't know whether if I owned her, I want her to break or not the way she's doing, because she's going to get herself into a bit of in among them for crowding at times. But at the moment, what she's doing is pretty good. I'd say Mert is quite happy that she keeps qualifying anyway. That's a cracking heat, because like she's doing 28-24 in defeat and not getting close to the winner. I mean, Droopy's next one was that was quite a special performance.
Yeah, she's a very fast lady, especially when she gets to dictate. I know most greyhounds are that bit better when they get to dictate, Frank. But this lady just seems to be. I suppose the term I'm going to use is she seems to be finding her feet in this type of company, this razor sharp company. She now knows that that's how to do it. Get racing, get on the bunny early, and go about it. She really did put them to the sword to halfway. It was a pretty emphatic display.
Yeah, big time. She said she'd come back to Ramo for a little later on, but she'd done the donkey walk early to put herself in a position to kick on. And what a way to get her first win in the competition. She'd been knocking on the door a couple of starts before, 3rd and 2nd, and then she just takes a flyer last week and Rahamofo on her tail, you always expected her to get closer, but you say from performance for the first half, work was done at that stage. She's done enough, but definitely you can't say it. As much as Rahamofo was closing, she can't have been tying up that much. They've done 28.07, so you've got to give her credit in that front too. I suppose it was a decent effort then from Rahamofo to actually whittle it down to 2.5 lengths. And Tommy still doing clocking in the 28.20s, but you're not clocking 28.7 if you're completely tying up. And although the other one did close, it's a hell of an effort, and she's definitely going to be in the mix as well going forward.
Yeah, Rahamofo did 28.24 in defeat after 28.15 at 28.30, and then her previous start prior to the Oaks in an A5 contest, she did 28.26. It was rated 20 fast on the night. In hindsight, it mightn't have been that 20 fast, because there's no question she's capable of 28.26 every night of the week. Rahamofo is actually the youngest bitch left in the competition, so there is sort of the room that she'll find that little bit of speed still. I know she's had the 13 starts now, but you could nearly write off her first 5 or 6, because it's only in the last month and a half that she's really come to the fore. Back in third is Reckless Nanny. I thought she ran okay. She's only beaten 4.5 lengths. She does 28.38. That's the sort of runs she looked like she was going to do earlier in her career. She does look more and more like a bit of a stayer. She had no real answer to Drewby's next one in the early yards. Rahamofo just got the better of her to halfway and then eased on from her. But Reckless Nanny is still powering at the line. She'll stay a bit further in time, Frank.
Yeah, it definitely has that sort of a profile about it. Look at her sections. She's nearly near last and first every time she was around the opening corner, run from top 5 in the last 5 starts. And again, stays on steadily, 28.38, scored a decent spin. Tommy said not so long back, 28.50 a couple of years ago, when you'd have been thereabouts, a real contender. Now you've done 28.38 and you're nearly being disregarded. So it's strong finish, but again, as it gets down to the nitty gritty, it gets a little bit harder to come from off pace. Arguably, something always just going to be one of the outsiders probably going to make it through. That's usually always the case. Something weaves their way through later on. She maybe has that look about her too, but I was just giving that little bit of ground away earlier. I was going to be in trouble, especially with those with pace in front, and now it's with that calibre of Greyhound, as you said, 12 real top classmen there, and you're giving 5, 6, 8 lengths maybe to them early doors. It's very, very hard to reel it in, even with a clear passage later on. But look, she's not doing anything wrong, and if there is any bumbling up front, she's definitely going to be one of those that we come home with a rattle. With 2 wins after 10 starts, probably one that's going to run into one of more minor medals than maybe going to won't win as many as she should, but will always sort of be finishing strongly, and again probably will want further in time.
Yeah, no question. I'd imagine she's a breeding project down the line. She's sister of Crafty Coro. She's from the Divilly's line on the dam side, like exceptionally fast line. We know that. Tommy, anything to add on that final heat?
See, I'd like the way the second and third both stayed in, because Drewby's next one has a 29.59 and her only run over 5.50. Like, she's definitely not stopping. Like,
she's like Drewby's next one's a Ballymac-esque. Like, she's not stopping to the line. She's just a really strong, powerful runner. She has a 29.59 around Shelbourne Park, not even leading on that occasion. So, like, she's a proven, powerful lady, and for the two of them to be closing on her, it's testament to how strong they are.
It really is, because, like I said, we talked about the section of Rahamofo before, but like Drewby's next one is definitely not going to be coming back to any bitch over 5.25. It highlights 2 things. One, it highlights that Rahamofo is an exceptionally strong stayer, and Reckless Nanny is a strong stayer too. But it also highlights how difficult it is to come from behind when you've got bitches of the caliber of Drewby's next one who can get away in front of you. You know what I mean? The task is like to do what Rahamofo did. Was, to my mind, was quite exceptional to run it down to 2.5 lengths, because the bitch in front, like if you're doing 29.59 on her only start over 5.50, there's a good chance she's capable of better than that. And I think that run the other night, if you convert that to a 5.50 run, it's better than 29.59. So what Rahamofo is doing,
the way she's staying, you're adding a 130. You're not adding the 140. Yeah. You're adding the 130. She's doing a sub 29.40 run, which is, well, as we'll get to in a few minutes' time, it's Derby class. Let's take a look at the semi-finals briefly, because last week we gave our predictions. Tommy, I think we did okay. I think we got sort of probably 8 or 9 each of the 12 through. Obviously the likes of Ballymac Snazzy and Drewby's Request sort of ruined our not not quite a prospect of a clean slate, but we certainly predicted many of the qualifiers. I think I gave Reckless Nanny as my third qualifier. I'd just like to point that one out in that heat. On to the opening semi-final. Ballymacwhispa, Ballymacmiranda, Rahamofo, Droopy's Gloss, Reckless Nanny, and Tullivan Vita. It's a race where you look at it going, well, it's not screaming early speed. If Droopy's Gloss can find a trap, if she can hit the lids, she's going to be bang up there, isn't she? Is she the most likely leader? If they trapped on level terms, the six of them, does she lead around the corner, Tommy?
I don't know, because I think I'd have Rahamofo down as a more reliable trapper. I don't know. I think obviously we talked about her pacing last day and how she did so well to kind of get past Ballymacmiranda in those vital maybe last 4 or 5 yards, even that close to the bend. I don't know. Like Ballymacmiranda can break better. Ballymacwhispa probably not. I think when you look at her sections, they're reasonably consistent. 220, 221, 230, 224. Ballymacwhispa we think is safe enough to say that won't be in front. It's probably an opportunity. Like Rahamofo, I think stays a little bit middle early, a little bit just for the first few yards. Comes out, actually might even come out a little bit right, maybe just for a few yards. And that's the stumbling block to Droopy's Gloss. I don't think, to be honest about it, with the makeup of the race, I don't think there's any fear that either of them will go out. I'm sure Murtley doesn't want to hear me saying that. I can put the kibosh on it, but like I think they both find a way through because I think there literally is no early pace in the race as far as I can make out. Like,
Droopy's Gloss led up Serene Ace and Croker Spirit in the Juvenile Derby final. So I dare say there is a bit of early speed in the race.
But not on what we've seen. And it's a 2:14 sectional that day as well. It's not what you would call a blistering early pace either. Like it's just I don't know. I think the first one out of traps will be Rahamofo. I think Ballymacmiranda has the potential to take the bend. Has the potential, even though I wouldn't say it's a certainty by any means. But I think Rahamofo will possibly lead to the line the first time. As whether Droopy's Gloss can get by her at the first bend. She probably can, because as we've talked, Rahamofo will be coming back a little bit as they go in towards the line, just where she gets caught for that little bit of space. But if I was Murtley, I'd be closing my eyes for about 5 seconds.
Good man. Frank, Droopy's Gloss leads into the corner. What follows her around?
Probably Mofo, and then Miranda might be that far off that you're looking then. I suppose from my point of view, having back Whisper, you're hoping that she can she's not going to be turning with them, but you're just going to have to hope that she gets a decent lane behind him, that she's going to get clear passage laid on. Mofo might just hold Gloss up under the corner, and likelihood is that one of those two should turn in front. Tommy says Miranda's more than capable. Look back through some of her sections. There's been a sprint in Cork, so she should be able to go to the corner probably with them or thereabouts, but I'd be looking at Seek and Wisp to pick those two. Probably those two, I'd say Mofo and Gloss up in front. And you'd imagine them two should have enough about them to stay in front if the race is a 3-run race. And then the thing is, can Wisp wave her way through later on? And I'd just say maybe the makeup of the race, she probably should be able to do so again on this occasion.
As a Wisp backer, you'd prefer 2 or 3 real early speedsters in the race and her picking them off rather than, strong runner, and that's what they are. They're 6 strong runners. You prefer a situation where a couple of early speedsters, one of them doesn't lead, that's going to fall back to the pack, and the likes Wisp picking up the pieces. On this occasion, nothing's going to get handed to you, especially as a strong runner. If you're off the pace, you're going to have to be picking up bitches that are probably more powerful than those that you've been picking up in recent weeks.
Yeah, the ones that are going to be staying on probably alongside you. Arguably, she stays on maybe that little bit better, but yeah, they're going to be trying to do what she's doing. So that leaves her path a little bit harder for her to get to where she's going. As you say, you put 4 fast ones in front of 4 who are out and gone, 3 out and gone. It's easier. She needs to get past 2 early on, and she's going to have every chance moving wide off the last. She's going to take at least, worst case now, she runs into second or third if she doesn't quite get the goal. But that's big little her. You only 2 to you have 3. You may possibly have 3 for company, more so on round those final bends. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit more awkward. But what you've seen from her over the last couple of weeks, you'd still maybe just think she should be home in front. May not keep her own beaten record, but I imagine she could join Mofo and Gloss in the final with one of those 2 home in front.
So you're going 1, 3, 4 as your 3 qualifiers. Tommy, what are your 3 qualifiers there?
Probably end up with the same 3, although I just wouldn't be surprised if Ballymacmiranda found a way to get through. it's just trying to figure out where there might be that little bit of crowding. But I really do hope that Ballymacrisp and Rahamofo qualify, at least one of them, and probably both will qualify for the final, because they bring a different dynamic to a final. We're going to have early pace in from the other heat, so they'll bring a different dynamic and make it a really exciting final. So I hope the two of them qualify. Drewby's Glass is too classy not to qualify, so I think it'll probably be 1-3-4. But I'd hold a little bit of hope that Kieran can get Ballymacnaran to squeeze through there somehow.
Yeah, I'll go for the same three qualifiers, 1, 3, and 4. If my alternative would be Tullivan Vita. I think she's very well housed on the outside. She's actually going up very well. She tends to give away a little bit of ground in the corners, but she's strong. She stays on again. She's still young. She's still improving. Again, that tactical speed is where her issue is down the back straight. But just if there's any traffic on the inside, you can be absolutely certain that she's probably going to avoid it. And that's why she could be one that could sneak into the place. But I think we're all going 1, 3, 4, Whisper Mofo and Drewby's Glass. Not in that order, but we're just picking qualifiers at this stage. The second heat, Ballymac Arts in 1, Drewby's next 1 and 2, Dark Ava 3, Scooby Duchess 4, Florentis and Fahy Divine. Bit more early speed in this one. Pick your 3 qualifiers, Tommy, or how do you see it going?
I think it's actually very, very difficult. I think that the Drewby's next one will have to leave Ballymacart early. I know we talked about her staying very well, but Ballymacart stays plenty well enough over the trip too, and showed early pace to match the last day on the inside. I think Ballymacart can probably qualify. Scooby Duchess, I'm hoping that she can also qualify, but it is a very tricky draw this time. But I think she just got the class. The third qualifying spot, maybe I'll be a little bit biased and go with Johnny Linton to qualify Drewby next one, but it's probably trickier for Florentis, even though she came from behind Fahy Divine the other day and did it quite comfortably in the end. There was nothing else in front, so there was the whole inside of the track to kind of work with at the time. I think I think this is another step up. If she's going to find 2 of those 4 lengths, she'd want to probably find 2 of those 4 lengths we talked about earlier on. If she's going to go and win a competition, but if she's going to qualify, she definitely wants to find them next week. So I'm going to go with 1, 2, and 4, Ian, but I think it's a tricky heat.
Yeah, as opposed to the other heat, Frank, so much of this will come down to the opening 5 strides, won't it?
Yeah, there's a lot more early pace here. It's clear to see. You just quick look down there, you see their sections, and you see how many of them, when they've been in company in recent weeks, recent starts, have gone round in front. So it's going to be a ding-dong battle to the corner. Next one, 28.07 last week. She comes away running. As Tommy says, she's going to have her work cut out to sort of maybe negate the better Ballymac Art to the corner of them section, putting a lot in it. And she has shown before Art that she has the odd ping break in her. So could maybe just hold her up. But Drewby's next one gets in front, 28.07 last week. She'll be hard to peg back. Scooby Duchess, as we said, she's growing into it. Only beaten a half length, only run out of it late on last week. And you expect her maybe to find maybe the guts of another length, maybe 2. This week, as she grows, she's going to keep winging away as well. So imagine those 2 should go to the corner. Whoever gets it right in front probably holds on. It's going to be hard to, if the next one gets right in front, if anywhere similar to last week, 28.07, she's going to probably, it just be a little bit too much of a mountain for Scooby Duchess to claim again this time. But those 2 should qualify. You're looking at what comes through after that. Possibly the top might just squeeze through. She has a little bit of class. She's been there before and done it. And if there's any sort of straggling in front with that early pace, Dark Eve is probably the only other one in the lineup that might squeeze through later on. But on her clock, she has a little bit of work to do. But the makeup of the race suggests that 2 or 3 could go to corner. There might be a little bit of trouble. Something could get knocked out early doors and could play into the hands of Dark Eve and maybe to squeeze through later on. But to me, Drewby's next one is Scooby Duchess, and then maybe a toss up between Dark Eve and Ballymac Art for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I think I'll go with certainly next one, a Duchess. I think Ballymac Art might be the one as well. If they all do the things right, I think Florentis will have too many to pass to get involved. Ballymac Art will be his next one. Scooby Duchess certainly won't be stopping to the winning line. Before we leave Shelbourne Park, man, I want to just mention a couple of dogs on the undercard. Mustang Jet took off 28.03, never really took to Clonmel. Back to Shelbourne Park, his previous start at Shelbourne, he'd run so well behind Coulivan Calvin. He'd actually outpaced that rival down the back straight. I think he's a dog with a future, Mustang Jet. I really do think he's improved from what he was. Just keep an eye on him going forward. Obviously, they're going to have to step him up to 550 yards if they're keeping him with Shelbourne. Otherwise, maybe a Laurels at Cork could be an option. He's tremendous early speed. Born Warrior is a dog that just finds a way to win. He's now 7 from 8. He's a brother to the other Kobe, who was actually a non-runner the other evening. But Born Warrior, really fantastic young prospect. really doing things right at present. A very exciting one for Jennifer O'Donnell. But the one I want to talk to you about is Magical Cuba in the finale, Tommy. This was a statement type display. Part Blake, Flaming Moneybags, Night Tornado, dogs like this. He ragged them. He absolutely took off into the corner, stayed a lovely true wide line, just looked a natural wide seed running around Shelbourne Park over the 550 yards, ran strong to the corner down the back and home. It was a statement performance from a greyhound that could easily be a big player in the Derby.
Yeah, if we could guarantee that he can kind of do that sort of, like, 341 isn't going to lead most of your heats in the Derby, but he's going to improve on that. But will he do it every single week? That's the only thing I'd be thinking of, because that was a phenomenal. We talked about it before we came on air. It was a phenomenal performance. It really was. He's I don't think we ever doubted that he had that sort of ability. It's just that a bit. It's just can he stride up with them? He took a step to the right out of trap 6 and then straightened himself up and went straight as a gun barrel up to the first bend. Then took like any dog, he obviously cut in a bit, but he still kept a middle course most of the way around the two bends and just showed phenomenal pace. It's the same type of stuff that we watched of him in Limerick. He's just a serious prospect. Just because we're effectively elevating him to a live contender for the Derby already. You're trying to find, is there a little thing that you want to see over the next couple of months before he beat that, and that can he come out and maybe dip slightly under 340, just because there will be 340s for fun when it comes to, or 330s for fun by the time it comes around to the Derby. So that's all I'd like to see. But I think he can develop. He's very lightly raced. Like, you're beating Park Blake. I mean, that's serious form.
Yeah. Frank, in your previous life as a Boyle sportsman, you'd have been looking at his Derby prices the night after racing going, I think we might just trim that a little bit.
Definitely, it would have been shortened up. Look, surely his hand in the Kirby was decent sort, and as you were talking about beforehand, just before we started, that the Kirby really has thrown them up again this year, as it has done for the last few years. It's really starting to be one that you're taking your dogs for the year out of it, and he's one of them. There's a couple of smart breaks in Limerick, especially at 28.02 he done, but then 151 sectional after that when he was beat by Kildare. So Tommy says he's probably going to have to be a little bit more consistent at traps, and you probably want to see a little bit more of improvement. But I suppose one thing that's in his stand in his corner is he's a wide seed. Derby never usually is top heavy with wide seeds. It is insides and middles, so pretty much going to be guaranteed a decent berth every week, which is going to play into his hands, and definitely looks like going good thereabouts, and maybe might just go that little bit further, go one step further than his father did, Magical Billion.
Yeah, absolutely. No, a hell of a good dog. Keep an eye out for him going forward. Gentlemen, we've got to mention a couple of other things. Certain English Derby going across the water before we do. Pat Buckley won the Produce Stakes yesterday. I haven't got to see it. The video's not there as yet, but there was obviously traffic in the race. But Gaston Picas got there in the closing stages to land the spoils. It was a tremendous Produce Stakes. Obviously, Swords Rex was a red-hot favourite, but missed the kick and found bad traffic on the corner. That'll finish any dog, Frank, but Swords Rex is another greyhound that you'd be keeping an eye on. He'll be heading to Shelbourne Park now, you'd imagine.
Yeah, you'd imagine Champion Stakes or something will be next up for him. The swerved the English Derby kept him at home, and rightly so. They were justified in what they'd done. He'd done everything right in the Produce Stakes up until last night. Say like yourself, I haven't seen the final, but yeah, you get that. You can be a little bit unlucky in running at times, and trying to do what Boyle Sports here had done back in the day. The Kirby Produce Stakes that was just his field, but definitely he's going to be a player in the Derby. Another one of a strong team for Graham Holland. Being Gaston Picas wins it. Just goes to show Pat's forms in Cox channels and fine form as well. Like they're doing it in England as well. He's got stakes here, there, and everywhere, and they can track records with other dogs, sprint dogs. He's the dog with Flash Miller dog for the Sprint Cup in Dundalk, and the kennel in fine form and a good winner. But yeah, Swords Rex definitely he's going to be thereabouts before the year's out too. He'll have a bit of a say in where the Derby goes, I'd imagine as well. Yeah.
Tommy, we're dependent on good owners. Javier Jarne has been there for a long, long time. A good owner. Gaston Picas winning the Produce Stakes for him. He's a very good, strong running greyhound. He's definitely an improved greyhound since the back end of last year. He caught the eye a couple of times in Shelbourne Park, but he just seems to be a more rounded individual this year. Around well during the Cesarewitch. Now he's after winning a Produce Stakes. Okay, he's still going to be a biggish price for a Derby, but he's a dog you'll have a lot of sport with.
Yeah, I still think if you can win a Produce Stakes, and we're talking a little bit blind here, but if you can show that sort of stamina. You're entitled to be a little bit better over further. He has the form over. I think I think we talked about it last week too, that the draw was potentially tricky for Swords Rex. If they could, they would have swapped it. I mean, we're talking about seeing the video, but if you look at the sectional, coldly at the sections, and obviously a lot happens before you get a first sectional, even though it's only 2.9 seconds. He did go back a bit. Swords Rex did go back a bit, maybe 2 lengths even, which is an awful lot. It's a sharp 5.25. You need to do everything right early. If you're an early pacer, you can't afford to do anything at all around there. Gaston Picas had a lovely draw. It looked an ideal draw to kind of get involved in maybe, I thought, for the minor places. As it happens, it was for the win of the competition. But it's like you said, Ian, it's Pat Buckley's dogs are in flying form. They're doing it here and they're doing it over in Towcester as well.
Yeah, let's move on to Towcester, because Ballinabool Ed remains the hot favourite to win the English Derby. Obviously, we'd like to find another length of boxes with him, Frank, but he just looks an absolute picture. He just looks the greyhound to beat, doesn't he?
He's really set the bar across the board. He just winged it out. Unfortunately, it's been onwards and upwards since 29-12 Saturday night. Just less than 5 lengths home in front, and he's really taken to the track. And it's good to see the dog on an outside seed run that over here, and it doesn't suit them. But he's shown that it's not really making much difference to him. You say arguably like to get a little bit of a sharper start from him, but PSC individual, he's still coming home in 29-12. He's dominated in the clock from the opening round, and he's going to take a hell of a lot of stopping.
Yeah, Tommy, we've suggested that he's learned plenty from his experiences around Tralee and Limerick. He's not edging in at times when he was finding traffic at Limerick. He's staying outside of dogs at Towcester. Pat referred to it the other night in an interview. I said he doesn't have to slow down at any point in this race in around Towcester. He's staying a lovely true line with the camber. He just is able to maintain that powerful gallop throughout, and it's just putting dogs to the sword.
It's just something I wrote this morning in the paper. Actually, just think what struck me when I was watching the race the other night is, like, there aren't too many dogs to say that they're really suited to Towcester, but there's something about it that he likes. There's something about it that suits him. If you listen, obviously people have different angles of what happens every week, and if there's a little bit of consistency in rounds, like we saw, maybe the second round was what we thought was a bit unsatisfactory with the Friday night session, particularly maybe. But when it comes to Ballinabool, it just doesn't seem to matter. It's like Sing Along Sally, the two of them actually, because he's not going to flash out anyway. If he does, that's a massive bonus. But if he's just going to do his normal break, and like the pace he showed, the change of pace he showed from maybe the winning line into the first bend is just a joy. It's a joy to watch. And there's something about that track, I don't know what it is about it, that he really seems suited to. Maybe I can't even. I'd have to go to Google Maps and have a look at it closely or something. Is there something about it that really suits his style or something like that? Because he really seems to be taken to it, and he seems, I don't like to say that, he seems a little bit bulletproof to a degree, in the sense that I don't think there's enough early pace, consistent early pace in there to have a pile of dogs in front of him at any stage of any heat. I just don't think there is, because he's too good for that, and he's so strong. I just loved it. I mean, we were talking maybe last week, 7-2 seems tight when you've got 4 rounds to negotiate in an English Derby. He's now 7-4, and has he got 3 more? Yeah, he's 7-4.
Yeah. Going into a quarter final, like he still has a quarter final,
3 rounds to negotiate.
Yeah. See, it does seem a bit short. I'm, as the backer, 33-1. I'm more than happy now, must be said. We have to mention Sing Along Sally, double for Pat Buckley. She's just what a star. And then, of course, Peter Cronin, the winner with Cape Cloud, and Liam Dowling is there still with Ballymacfairone, another greyhound that really seems to handle the place. Frank, Ireland going okay, 10 qualifiers.
Yeah, it looked a bit rocky last weekend. We took a bit of a hit, and you were starting to worry were we in trouble, but obviously not the case this weekend. They've done it well, and 1-2 for Liam in that heat. And you all know Ballymacfairone, a bit like Ballinabool Ed, took to the circuit, didn't go favourite last year's final, and it just seems to be finding his feet. Hadn't quite been at that mark after that, but it's amazing. Horses for courses, isn't it? You get him back to where he took off last year, and he's just slowly coming back to the dog that he was last year. The reason he went favourite for the Derby. Sing Along Sally, a bit of more of an interest. I had a few quid her each way. And I thought Towcester was all maybe early paced inside seed. She had a chance, and that's what she is. Like maybe the few alterations last year, maybe level it up a little bit, but she's done nothing wrong, and she's probably one of the few that's left in the real sort of exceptional straight early doors. She's run up an Irish Derby. She's the class to definitely be thereabouts, and Ian, she's going to shoot maybe a second string for Pat, but that's dirty pace. It wouldn't be surprised me if she was Grand Derby champion come the end either. Like, she's exceptional lady. She's done it before, and I'll be praying that she ends up the pick of his stock as a competition rolls on.
It's amazing when you can call her a second string, isn't it? I'd call her a co-team leader, just to be sure, because she's an unbelievable performer. Like, what she's achieved, it's pretty much incredible. You know, she debuted at the Juvenile Classic last year, Kirby final, Derby runner-up. You know, she's won so much. She's been nearly to every final she's ever competed in. She's just a star, Tommy.
I'm hard to please him, but I'm mad about seeing on Sally. She's just a superstar. You can set your clock by her. She does it week in, week out. There was a tiny little bit of a dip, I think, in her form, maybe at one stage last year, but I mean, it was minuscule sort of stuff. Like, if you're nitpicking because she was in the very top competitions right throughout the year and she was competing hard against the boys, the girls, it made no difference. She's just a joy. She's an absolute joy. I said to you beforehand, she was my only bet in the competition so far. I had actually been tempted. I only backed her to win the heat the other night, sorry. But I had been tempted before the heats the other night to back her. I think she was around 16-1 just in each way, because I think she's that type of bitch. She's just really, really good. And maybe it's patted the neck of, maybe it's not Ballinabole age, maybe it's just patted the neck of a toaster.
Yeah, maybe it is. Gentlemen, that's been us for this week. I think we'll leave it there, because we've talked plenty. Lots to look back on, of course, in the Sporting Press Online Irish edition, or online edition Irish Oaks. It will continue at Shelbourne Park on Saturday in the two wonderful semi-finals, and the final the following week. The English Derby continues. The very best of luck to all the Irish. But for now, my thanks to Frank and to Tommy. Gentlemen, thanks as always.
No problem.
And that's it from us on Talking Dogs on a Monday. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. We'll be back next Monday, but for the moment, good luck and God bless.